what we have today is paint house. This is a lead code question. Actually, it's a like premium question. Basically, it's hidden in lead code if you have not subscribed to them, and it's a variation of question number 198 of lead code only, house robber. And we know that house robber is a variation of max sum subarray or one of the same. Like these two are the same question, so it's a kind of variation. There we had like two choices, here we'll have three choices. You must be aware of these both questions, and even it will be better if you are aware of max product subarray also. That's a very good question also. I've uploaded a video. If you want, you can check that out. So the thing is paint house. Like I will not go into the detail because there are many teachers teaching it very well. I'll just explain how I did it, what was my code, and what was my thought process. I'll just give a code walkthrough instead of explaining whole detail about DP and all this. So concept in these two were we were taking two 1D arrays and we were just calculating include exclude, and in the end we were just taking max. You must be knowing what we are doing in this. Concept in paint house is same, just the only difference is we'll just include three rows. Okay, in them two rows were basically in them two rows were there. So this is your input. This is your question. If you want to read, you can read. Paint house, blah 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 house. There are number of houses. For example, in our test case, we have four houses, and these are those houses. House number one, house number two, house number three. Say, and these are the different colors. How these are colors? R, B, and G. So I'll just write there. This is R, this is blue, and this is green. So these are the color, and you might have read the question already. So I'll just jump on to the solution. What we are doing is, firstly, this thing is like given a rotated kind of, like if you want to solve, you need to rotate it once. How you need to rotate? You need to bring it in this form. That are like for every house, you just need to basically rotate it 90 degree, you can say, or maybe like just swap the rows and column numbers. So earlier we were having house and we were having all the prices to color it R, blue, and green. But what we did is we switch rows and columns. So now we have house and we have all the cost to color them. Just remember what we need to find is minimum number of cost to color uh, all the houses so that we do not clash. And what we'll do in our DP, each of this cell will be having a meaning. What meaning it will have? This cell, for example, this cell is having a meaning that minimum cost to paint this house red. Just remember, minimum cost to paint this house red will be stored here. Okay, and one more thing, two adjacent houses cannot be colored same. So the minimum cost to paint this house red, keeping our condition that two houses cannot be painted red. Just a yeah, yeah. So what we'll do, I'll just calculate the cost here. How I'll calculate? Just look at this. This is red. Okay, we want to paint it red. But the only constraint is that its previous house should not be painted in red. Basically, this cannot be painted in red. Now, the only two elements which we are left with blue and green. So you can either paint it with blue or green. That's fine with us. But you cannot paint it with red, because if you want to paint this house red, previous house basically should not be painted red. Similar for all these cases also. For example, this is blue. This blue thing can only be painted blue when the previous house was not painted blue. So previous house will be either painted red or green. I'll just tell you in a while. So just look at this, red thing. So basic condition, we understood that we cannot paint this thing red. So what we'll do is uh, we can paint it either blue or either we can paint it green, then we can paint it red. For example, this is my H1, this is my H2. We either painted it blue or we either painted it green. Okay, then we can paint it red very easily. We can paint it red. But out of these two, we need to find the minimum, because we need to eventually we are reducing the cost now. So we need to find which is minimum, basically which will take less cost. So 5 is minimum. So okay, we'll paint this house by 5 for this especially for this, like for a particular value. This will be a series of value. How this will go? For example, here I received 1, and this is like for example, here I received 10. This is smallest. Okay, 33, 44. So how this series will go? This series will go like paint this blue, paint this red, then paint this green, and then paint this red. That's how this series will go, and eventually it in the end it will give us the minimum sum. You'll get it in a while. So just look at this, that what option do we have of painting blue and green. Like this house we have two options, either painted blue and green. Which one will prefer? We'll prefer 5 because it's less. Okay, so we'll prefer 5. So my current cost is 5 of painting house 1. Now I am on house 2. House 2, we have R, G and B. We have three options. So for red we are looking, like if we want to paint it red, what will be the minimum cost? Minimum cost, at least you have to pay 5 basically, because you have already painted this. You are on this. If you want to paint it red, what is the cost to paint it red? The cost is 5 basically. So previous cost 5 and this cost 5 will make it 10. What this display is, like what this value display is, that this is the minimum cost. This is the minimum cost you have to pay if you want to paint these two houses distinctly. For example, if I would have taken 7, for example, this in this H1, I would have painted it with blue. So my total cost will be 7. Now for this I need to paint it with red only, because this is for red, this is for blue and this is for green now. So I need to paint it with red. Now if I want to paint it with red, I have to pay 5, so it will be 12. But this is not minimum. What is minimum is 10. And how this 10 arrives? This comes by H1 should be painted with blue and H2 should be painted with red for this specific position. For all and for each and every position this will change. I'll explain you. Okay, so we got our idea that it will minimum at least it will cost 10 rupees. Now we are on blue. Okay, now we want to paint this house blue, but we want to check the minimum amount so that it do not violate this condition, which means we cannot paint previous house blue now, because if H1 was painted blue, H2 cannot be painted blue. So we have two options again for H1, either painted red or either painted green. Then only H2 will be painted blue. So from red and green, which one is minimum? We'll obviously go for red. First I'll paint it red, then I'll check out the total amount of blue. Total amount of blue is 8, like at least this much amount I need to pay. So 8, and for previous house is 1. So total will be 9. So basically this is the minimum cost. You cannot just go beyond this, like you cannot do it in less than 9 rupees. You have to do it. For example, I'll show you here only. If I would have asked you, if I would have asked you that I have given you two houses, I have given you two houses, and these are the red green, these thing are the cost, how much they cost, and I would have asked you, tell me you need to paint both these houses and in how many numbers, in how many or I'll just delete this green color, and in how much minimum cost you can do it. So what you'll do, you'll keep them as same, because if you need to paint first, like starting house will be same, you cannot do anything. Now for this red thing you cannot paint it red, so you'll paint it blue. If you'll paint it blue, you'll pay the rent of, like you'll pay basically red fees. So 5 plus 5 10. Now for painting blue you cannot paint it blue, you should paint it red. So for painting red it should be 1 plus how much fees do you need to pay? 8. 1 plus 8 will be 9. What is the minimum, like which one is the minimum? 9. If 9 is the minimum, then you should paint this house with blue and this house with red, then it will be minimum. You can check it, like you can check it also. If you'll paint this house with red, you need to pay 1 rupees. If you'll paint this house with 8, you need to with blue, sorry, you need to pay 8 rupees. So 8 plus 1 will be 9. So basically 9 is the minimum amount you need to pay. Like you should be smart enough to get this by till this point. Now for green also same shit. For green also same, like you cannot just a second. Yep, for green also same shit. For this blue, what we had 8 plus 1. Now for green, you cannot go for 7, then you'll go for 1 and 5. Out of 1 and 5, 1 is smaller. Minimum amount you need to pay to paint 4, to paint the house to green basically is 4. So 4 plus 1 is 5. Basically, you have 5 now. Now for house 3, same shit. We'll repeat again and again. House, uh, house 3. How much you will pay? For house 3 you cannot paint it red. If you want to paint it red, house 3 you cannot paint the previous house red. So what we'll do, we'll either paint it blue or green. Which one will paint? The minimum one will paint it green. So 5 plus the amount which I need to pay for house 3 is 3. So 5 plus 3, this will be 8. minimum amount I need to pay if I want to paint it red is 8. Now for blue, what we'll do, same thing, we cannot go for it, we'll either go for 10 or 5. Again 5 is minimum, 5 plus 2 will be 7. Again for blue we cannot go for this. Okay, then we'll go for 10 and 9. 10 and 9, 9 is minimum, so 9 plus 9 is 18. So if someone will ask you, tell me, I am giving you three houses, h1, h2 and h3, I'm giving you three houses, tell me in what is the minimum cost you can paint, and none should be same. So you'll just take the minimum of this, you'll just take the minimum. What is minimum? 8. So you'll say that I'll at least use 8 rupees. And then he'll ask, tell me how, like which will color you'll go for. So how this 8 came, this 8 came from, first of all you painted this house red. Okay, you painted this house red. Okay, I'll just write, you painted this house red in 3 rupees. Then for house 2, you painted this house 4. You painted this house green in 4 rupees. For house 1, you painted this house red in 1 rupees. You can color, you can paint basically two different color by giving some gap. So total will be 4 plus 3 plus 1 will be 8. So 8 is the minimum amount. Like H4, for H4 also, you cannot paint red, so you'll go for 7 or 18. Out of 7 or 18, 7 is minimum, so 7 plus 1, it will be 8 again. Now you cannot go for 7, 8 or 18. 8 plus 2 will be 10. Now you cannot go for 18, so 8 and 7, 7 is less, 7 4 is 11. So that will be like total cost for if you want to paint house with these three colors. Now what will be the minimum is 8. So which path you should follow? You should follow this path. You can like eventually see here also, paint it this like paint it with 1, then I guess paint this with 2, then paint this with 4, and paint this with 1. Basically red, green, blue and red again. RGBR. If you'll go accordingly, then you'll have the minimum cost. And I'll explain the code right now. So what I've done, first I've taken the input. For input, I've changed the J and I values because I was supposed to take it, vertically. Then for this, I filled the DP with 0 because it was showing some garbage value. This is extra loop, like I could have avoided it, but it was showing, you know, garbage value. Then I filled the first row. Basically, first row you cannot help anything. You'll just fill whatever amount is 157 because there is only a single option you can fill it with. Sorry. So I filled it with 157. Now I declared my result variable basically, and I have again run a loop. Mind this, my loop is running this way, not this way. Like your typical, just a second. Your typical loop runs like this, now, row by row, row by row. As this time, my loop is running column by column. Okay. Then what I'm checking, if I is equals to 0, I 0 represent this thing. If this is 0, basically I'll just write here also. First row I'm talking about. First row I'm talking. Okay. Second row I'm talking about, and here third row I'm talking about. So if it's first row, what you need to do for first row, I just ignore this. We'll start from here because this is already filled. If it's first row, you cannot just go back. Like I'll explain you this logic also. I'll write some values 1, 5, 7, okay, and 10, 9, and 5. So basically, if you'll just go through, for example, this is J, 0 and 1, and this is I, 0, 1, and 2. So if I'll ask you that give me the location, just a second. If I'll ask you, you are currently here and you want minimum of these two because these are blue and green and you cannot take red. If I'll ask you give me the minimum, what you'll do? You'll do I plus 1 because you need to go 1 down, okay? Then you'll go do j minus 1 because you need to go 1 back. Again, you'll do I plus 2 because you need to go 2 down, and then you'll do j minus 1, basically 1 back. So you'll get these two numbers, and what you'll do, you'll just find the minimum of these two and you'll add with whatever the value you need to pay. Whatever this file, you'll just add with this file whatever minimum value you need to pay. to paint that house. So I've done the same thing, min, and just added with this. For second row, if you are standing in middle, so you need to go up and you need to go down. You cannot just go behind. So for up down, I'll just tell you what's the formula for going up and going down. It will be I minus 1 because you are going 1 up and then left. For left, it's always j minus 1. And if you are going 1 down and then left, I plus 1 because 1 down and j minus 1 again. So same shit, I plus 1, I minus 1, j minus 1, j minus 1, array with the basically the token amount you need to pay. For third also, if you are standing, if you are standing in basically last row, you need to go 2 up. So for 2 up, I minus 1, I minus 2, j minus 1 is constant. Okay, that what we what this thing is doing. This thing is calculating if I am in the last row, for example, I'm filling my DP. Okay, I'm filling my DP as SSA. Then after filling my DP, I am in my last row. So this will give me the answer. This will provide me the answer. Now, like all houses are painted, and which is the minimum. What is the minimum cost? So I need to find the minimum. So what I'll do instead of running another loop, I'll just keep calculating hand by hand. For example, whenever I am in n minus one, basically whenever I am in my last column, each value which will be filled will be checked. It will be checked with the previous value that if it's minimum or not. For example, 8 was filled, 8 will be checked with 10, then 10 will be checked with 11, and 8 will remain as a minimum value. So in the end, I'll return my minimum value. This was a like bit messy explanation, but I guess it will help you and me definitely. Once I'll need to revise, I won't go through like all this code. I'll just see this video. So see you in the next